This is the Robaer Report. I am Robaer Washington. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, YouTube, where we're here to talk about today's topic, acting and preparation for auditions with my good friend, Sean Gahdiel Armstrong.
How y'all doing?
Mr. Armstrong has been nice talking with you today, Gahdiel. I call him Gahdiel. We're good friends. Professionally, he goes by Sean. He has acted in across multiple states. He's acted in on screen in New Orleans, Louisiana and Georgia, as well as Mississippi. He got his start back in, I believe, 2010 or 11, somewhere around
2010, 2009.
2009, 2010 in Washington, D.C. With a production based out of Howard University. I believe it was A Raisin in the Sun.
Yes.
With one of my classmates at the time at Howard University. It was a graduate school program that my friend was in, and I happened to mention it to Mr. Armstrong. He said, "Hey, connect me," and he went and tried out his first production that he tried out for, and he landed the role. My good friend Sean Armstrong, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so happy to be on this show with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
How's the day been going? Right now, I believe you're in Mississippi. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm in Mississippi.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from? How would you like to, tell us about where you from? Your experience in traveling. How does that work?
Yeah, I was born in Ohio, a place called small town called Sandusky, Ohio. It's outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Around 3 months old, my mother left Ohio and she wanted to go back to her home state, which is Mississippi. So we went back to Mississippi, is where I grew up. I grew up in couple towns in Mississippi, and had a great childhood. We was living a great family, mother father household, and I got a couple 3 siblings that I grew up with, and I also have a sibling and also in upstate New York as well, a brother up in upstate New York.
Okay. Well, you got a nice size family. I want to also introduce the host from the last show, Chap. Chap, come on, speak to us for a moment. Say hello.
How you doing, Chap?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Thank you for inviting me on the show. I didn't realize I was tonight, so I took a little break, and I was like, wait a minute. I think tonight's the night you were talking with your actor friend, correct? So I'm tuning in, man. Proud. I'm privileged to be here, man. Robaer's a great guy. He puts on some great content. He knows some pretty, very interesting people. So it's a privilege to meet you, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm happy that Chap chimed in as well because my friend Sean, he's been acting. Was this going on about 10, 12 years now? My friend Chap, I think he just landed his first role, maybe in this past summer.
I did. So, Sean, I'll share with you my experience as a brand new, fresh baby actor. Wasn't actually looking for a role with any casting companies. I just I'm in Baltimore. I know a lot of people in Baltimore. I grew up here. So you asked about me. I bet they know me. And what was interesting was I got this phone call from HBO. Not a phone call, I guess an email, but I got some emails or some communications from HBO, and being a community person, I know that they were filming a couple documentaries on community organizers and stuff like that in Baltimore. And so my personal decision was to turn them down because I didn't want to exploit or expose the people I serve to be on a TV show. So I was like, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you.
Right.
Finally, a couple of people were with the production. It's called We Own This City. It releases this spring. Hopefully, they're in post-production edits. And they were like, "Chat, they're filming this whatever docudrama about the police corruption. They're looking for a white boy from the hood, blah, whatever. And I was like, well, I can do that. It's not far from acting, right? Like I can handle that because that's just, who I am. So I showed up and I showed up for the first day and I was like a little activist guy, like, in the crowd. But by the end of production, I had represented, my beard was much longer. And
Yeah,
so I was,
he had a long. His beard was
I
about
was like a Muslim
about 8
protester.
inches, 12 inches. Yeah, he had a very long beard. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was let's see, I was like a rioter. I was a Muslim protester. I had to shave because I did a scene as a lawyer. I was actually supposed to be the lead or the featured extra for the lawyer role, but someone who was union got the position last minute. They switched, like, hey, cameras rolling and everything, and they switched me out for this union guy. So I'm in the background as a lawyer, and then I played a detective. But it was just really interesting how the timing, like I never went to school to be an actor. I kind of am a personality that people know in Baltimore. But it's just interesting how the timing came together where I just got this one job. I had a lot of fun. I loved being a background guy, and I loved talking to people and just, networking, right? I loved it.
Yeah.
And so I was able to create more opportunities and continue working beyond like the first 1 or 2 days that they needed me for. And so I can't wait for my next production now. I'm like looking at casting calls. I'm like, I'm doing the hustle to see what else I can do because it was incredibly my niche that I had no idea that it was my niche. You know what I mean? Like at 43, I'm discovering something in myself that I didn't know I had until the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, you got that bug.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but it was fun. It was a blast.
It's serious.
Yeah, and it's great. I met this one young lady who's she like yourself. She's been a background actor for over. I mean, I don't know that you're a background actor, but I'm saying
I've done background. I started.
Yeah, that's where you start, right? This young lady had made a career of being a union background actor for like over 20 years, and she loved it, and she was showing me, she was in like Mars Attacks and like movies from the 90s, and I'm like, I grew up with these, like, there you are. It's so cool, and just being, around that energy and around, I found on my third day of background work, there's always somebody new, right? And the new people started gravitating towards me, and they thought I had been there they thought I was doing this for years. And I'm like, this is my third day, bro, but I figured it out on day one. Here's what you do, right?
Yeah, you learn quick.
Yeah, and it's like a big family, man. I really enjoyed it. So I can't wait to hear what you have to share, brother. You're the OG.
Oh, I'm okay. I don't say I'm OG, but it's good,
So I brought my friend Sean on Gahdiel. I call him Gahdiel. We'll call him Sean Armstrong for professional purposes. I brought him on because there was an interesting topic that I wanted to discuss, and I also wanted to bring in Chap as well because I think that Sean would have an interesting perspective from being in the business for about a little over a decade, and Chap will have his own interesting perspective from being in the business for about 6 months. The question is, when you're preparing for an audition, what type of strategies do you use? And the first question goes to Gahdiel first. What type of strategies do you use if it involves you overcoming fear, if it involves you relating to your co-host or relating to the director? You start where you want. What kind of strategies do you use to own the character that you're playing? Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what they do is send you they'll send you audition sides, and once they send me the audition sides, what I do is read the sides first. Before anything, I just read it. Before I even touch or do anything, I read it so I can get an understanding of what's taking place, what the scene is about. So when I understand what the scene is about, then I go a little deeper. I try to do create my own backstory because you don't get the whole script at first. So I had to create my own backstory of the scene and what I think this character is about, what I think the character is representing. So I do that, Okay, I do that within myself. I look down, I read, I mark certain things. I read, I create this character. I create this personality. And then,
Gahdiel, I'm gonna stop you real quick, and I want you to continue. But you say you mark the script. Is that allowed when you're preparing? Because they're giving you they own this work, right? Somebody owns this, a writer or a director or a producer or production company. When you write on it, is that a problem with the company that you're working with? Explain that, and then continue.
No. When I say mark the script, I read it, and then I can get the script. I sign a contract about I can't allow it to go anywhere outside of myself. You sign that contract first, okay? That's the first thing you do. That's the first thing they do. Oh, you got to sign the contract. All right. Once you do that, then I get the script. I download it. Maybe I'll download it, maybe I won't. Okay. So I can see. But what I do is I read the script, then I find me a partner, someone around me or something, and then we go over the lines and whatnot. Go over the lines. I find out what, when, where, how of the character, and I go I do things like that, and that'll give me more of a understanding of what I'm going with the character.
Okay. Let me say this. So you just mentioned what, when, where, how. For those who are listening, that is actually a strategy that's used in English literature. Right. I'm a writer sometimes. In school, that was one of my greatest subclasses, reading and English literature. And I know that when you're writing your paragraphs or you're writing your story, they mention to you what, who, where, when, and how.
That's right.
Those are very important elements that we learn in grade school. And what Mr. Armstrong has done is shown us how those elements from grade school are used in the professional world of acting and preparing for a role. Continue, Mr. Armstrong.
Robaer, I studied a semester of journalism at Meridian Community College, as you know, it's in Mississippi. So I took a semester of journalism, and I learned that element as well. Before I even start acting.
Okay.
So it all blended together. It all came together when I started studying acting. It blended together.
Wow. I mean, that's powerful. Because those young people who want to go into the acting, I want to be an actor, I want to be a star. Learn from your English teacher.
I'm telling you.
On how to structure your reading of a script when somebody hands it to you. But I'm excited to hear this because you're teaching us your strategy for on how you're going to develop your own success. I mean, you don't get this every day. Classes. I mean, I'm sure you've taken classes. Talk about that. Some courses that you've taken, whether paid or free, when it comes to you learning your craft.
Yeah, I took several courses. I took courses in Memphis. I went to an acting class in Memphis. I went there. I went to some acting classes in Atlanta. I've had my own personal acting coaches, my private coaches. I took private lessons with some strong individuals. I took private lessons from working actors who've been in the business for 30, 40 years.
Wow.
That's right. I took my last coach was a guy by the name of Lance E. Nichols.
Lance E. Nichols.
Yes, you can see him. He's everywhere. You Google him, you can find him. He's everywhere. He's solid, a solid dude. He's been he's on a lot of shows that a lot of shows now. If you go on Netflix, you'll see him on different things like that, and a lot of stuff. But anyway, I took classes from these people. I took a class from this strong sister out of Atlanta. you know,
Okay.
and she's very strong. She showed me a lot. She showed me a lot of how to help me to break down the scenes and break down the script, break down characters and things of that nature.
Okay.
I took a lot of exercises. I did improv. You know, I've studied. I enjoy studying the art. I study the art. I enjoy it, and it's something is a passion of mine to really be on top of this game, top of this
Okay.
these skills of acting.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That is pretty unique. To for me to know a person who is, for me to personally know someone who's taking this much interest in developing their skill set so that they can become a renowned actor, somebody who actually respects the craft. And so when somebody, let's just say, so who's one of your favorite actors? Just throw a name out and then I'll explain my what I'm going to say.
Oh man, you know, Al Pacino, Denzel Washington.
You mean the Al Pacino, Denzel Washington, all right? While everybody else wants the autograph, what you want to know is, can you give me an element that's going to give me a slight edge to be a better talent, either for the director, for the producer, for my coworker or co-host, co-worker on the set? You know, I think that's very powerful that you become a student of learning to be a talent on a production.
Absolutely. That's what keep me ticking is how far can I go? When I work on a project and then I get in and I break down this character, I understand this character, I become this character. And when I see the completed project, when I see myself on the screen, a scene, and me and my other, you know, cast members make this thing life, that's the most rewarding thing I can ever receive, man.
I'm gonna say something. So me and Mr. Armstrong, we were speaking right before the show aired, and because he had to get some permissions to for some of his work that he has done, so he wanted me to show some of the clips. Now I'm going to bring Mr. Armstrong back because I really enjoy the topics that he's speaking on, and when I bring him back, we're going to have those clips set up to where we can actually see him performing.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Armstrong, one of your last films that we discussed, I believe it was you worked on it out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Your film won. I can't remember the title, the award that it won, but it won an award. You want to speak to that about you being on a project that is an award-winning film?
Yeah, it was a film called. It was a feature film called Young and Reckless.
Okay.
Yep, it won the award. I think it was 2 months ago at this film festival in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't want to name the film festival right now, but it won the best feature of the whole film festival, and It was very. I mean, I felt very proud of the director. Proud of the cast, my cast members, and also myself. It was amazing, man. I mean, it's just the rewards of doing the work and actually doing the work and telling the story to the point of people actually respected the story and the film is
okay.
Brilliant.
Wow. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask. You know, I know, chat. We have a 30-minute show. I know Mr. Armstrong, pretty busy guy. He has another engagement to take care of at about the 30-minute mark. But I wanted to bring in Chap to talk about his experience in going into the realm of acting over the last 6 or 7 months or so, and then let's see how he and Mr. Armstrong can. Let's see how their conversation kind of gels together. I'm going to step back for a moment. I'm going to be here, but I want you two to talk because, you know, to see two actors having a conversation who are not Denzel Washington and Al Pacino, you know, that show is going to get too.
Not yet. Not yet. We're working on it.
Not yet. I'm sorry. You know, one of y'all could be Denzel Washington, the other one could be Al Pacino.
Oh.
But y'all, you two talk. and then I'll jump in as need be. But you two talk. I mean, say hello, say goodbye, say something. You know, just start the conversation so that people can see two actors actually learning about each other.
Well, Mr. Sean, I'll say I was taking a little bit of notes when you're talking about auditions. Like I said, for me entering this community or this arena was all about timing, right? Through relationships and timing. But again, like you said, I got the bug, man. Once I hit it, like I hit the ground running, man. I picked up and for me, I'll share my experience as like a day one guy, never been on any film project or any film production before. I've been on stage, so I'll say like when I was a kid, I sang the national anthem at Memorial Stadium at the baseball games for the Orioles. I've been at the Lyric Opera House.
Man,
I sang.
Huh? I said you have a voice, then.
I used to. I probably still do, but it's not been explored in a long time. I used to sing with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra in the orchestra pit at the Symphony Hall for Christmas concerts. So I'm not new to performing. I did have experience as a young person, but this is all new to me, right? And as a day one person, I would share with people who are aspiring or looking to get into the craft and get into film specifically. And let me back up a little bit and say I'm 43 years old, and anyone who knows me knows that I am like fanatical about film. I'm fanatical about film. Yeah. Like the details in every scene. Like I'm a Kubrick guy, right? Like you watch Stanley Kubrick and him inventing, or not inventing, but taking a Steadicam and running with that in a new direction no one had ever seen, and with his changing the course of like sci-fi with his his Space Odyssey movie and the details of like everything in the background and like why are mirrors being used, why is this color being used in this scene, like all these things come into play. Why is this person wearing that dress, why is the clock stayed, like in my house my sons have been trained, like we know how to do all that. We look for every detail because I think by nature my family are storytellers. And so we appreciate a good telling of a story. And what we appreciate about film is that it brings so many different art forms of humanity together into one orchestrated composition, right? You have visual art, you have audio, you've got the score, and you've got a soundtrack, you've got literary art, you've got a script, right? You've got acting, right? You have this, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes for a character, or you're drawing on your own experiences to portray a character. So there's so many different crafts, and when they're well directed and when they're put together well to tell a story, they combine to this beautiful, like you said, like it's so beautiful to see it come together and tell a complete story. But not everybody can do it, and just because you have money or resources doesn't mean you're going to be able to create a good film or a good production.
That's right.
So I'm gonna say all that to even get started. I'm a huge film guy. And so when I had the opportunity to work in the production, for me, what got me called back and why the directors of the production knew my name, they're like, "Oh, hey, chat," and the so-called stars, which not taken away from them, but we from Baltimore, we see stars all the time, and ain't no big thing, right? But when them guys know your name, because for me as a new guy, I showed up and I followed directions, right? Like it wasn't hard. Like I was like, I had work ethic. Before anything else, I had work ethic. I was called to do this part. I showed up. I did the part. I followed the directions of the directors, the first director, second directors, assistant directors. You just follow directions, do what you need them to do. They know they can rely on you. They're going to call you back for something else. Then you start networking, and for me, it was just being genuine. I wasn't necessarily formally trained, but like I said, just growing up and being someone who appreciates the art of film and acting so much that there were nuances that I've learned just through absorbing it and through watching. I know what I like. I know the actors that I like. I know how they portray and tell their story. But most of it for me, like right off the bat to get started, was just being reliable, having good work ethic, and following directions. And, from there, I built relationships. From there, I'm able to, through those relationships, like yourself, listen to seasoned actors and seasoned background actors and let them pour into me because I'm the new kid here.
But you are already seasoned. What you saying is far beyond you saying that you just started 6-8 months. You are already seasoned.
So I receive it too because it jumps on to something that I want to discuss, and both of you have talked about it. Your almost like your ambition. You know, I know you just started 8 months ago, and I'm throwing out this time because I'm showing the parallels. You just started 8 months ago, and Mr. Armstrong, you've been in the business 10 years. You've been working in it for about 10 years. A little bit more than 10 years. You all are having a conversation and it's fluid.
Right.
There's no hiccups.
Right.
Nobody's one-upping another. Chap is not saying, Mr. Armstrong, train me. Mr. Armstrong is not saying, hey, I'm here to train you. All right. How the screen looks, Chap is on top and Mr. Armstrong's on the bottom, I'm on top. But and for those who are looking, they'll see that. But that's not how the conversation is working. And I'm looking at it as if you all were on set together, you all would be able to learn to develop that script together.
Absolutely.
And go ahead and talk to that.
I'll let you speak, Sean, but I'll say that I'll testify to that. From day one, people were very receptive at every level. The background actors, the main cast, there was no condescension. There was no everybody was family on the production team, man. That's pretty much how it was, you know. There was no personality clashes. It was everybody was there for the same thing, to tell the same story. We're all working together at every level. And so there was that love there, man. So I'll say that there was like a family vibe there that like right off the bat you picked up on, and people embraced you, whether you were day one or whether you were, you know, John Washington or whoever, you know.
Yeah. Did it ever come out?
It's in we wrapped in November, end of November. It's in post-production right now, and it was expected to come out in February, but I think they pushed it back to spring. Okay. I'm following because I can't wait. Like everybody I know in Baltimore, they can't wait for it to pop because we got a lot of Baltimore family in there.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, man.
The project, you ready for it to come out? You ready?
Sure. And then I meet people like yourself who are even though like Teresa Davis was working background with me, but she's also a writer, director, producer in Baltimore, and she's doing a series called Kicking Indoors. So through this production, I met her, and she, you know, we got along really good. We built a good reputation. There was love there, man. On top of that, there's that be more love. She's like, Chap, like, I would love you to be on my production. And I'm like, say less. Like, you know, she didn't even have to mention, you know, because I met the producers and stuff, and they were like, what's your angle? What do you do, man? I said, look, if my family in Baltimore is doing stuff, I'm here to support. Yeah. So, you know, I'm that first, you know, that's first thing came out my mouth, man. And so it didn't matter what you paying. It didn't matter what you offering me. If you are making a film in Baltimore, like, or if you're doing anything in Baltimore, really, because I'm a community guy, if you're doing something in Baltimore and I can serve, then I have a responsibility to do so. Yeah. And you know, it's that love, man. And I met a guy, what is his name? Rocky. I forget his last name. This guy, Rocky, who he's a musician. And he partners with like Rock Nation and stuff. And it was really wild. A couple of weeks ago, he's like, Chat, because I was doing something at the time, but he's like, Chat, let's go to New York. Let's go up Rock Nation, man. I want to introduce you to some people. And he was just a background actor with me, right? And this guy's like, I'm like, whoa, are you kidding me? I was like, I can't go, bro. But but those kind of connections are being made on a production because you never know who's working in the background. A ton of Baltimore TV and radio personalities were there that we recognized. We were rapping, and but again, there was no one up and nobody. It was all love. Everybody was happy to be working on the project together, man. It was not what I expected.
Oh, you know? Yeah. Everyone's there and trying to you network, and then you meet this person. Next thing you know, you work on their project. Everyone's working on a project. There's always another step to go.
I'm sure I want to hear a story from you, man, but I'll share one with you. You guys, I know you're on time constraints too. So one of my favorite stories is me and this guy Rocky, and this other cat. He's actually a dancer, and we were extras in a riot scene. And so when We Own This City, there's a scene where we're marching down like Charles Street, and there's a car on fire in the background, right? And so we didn't hear. Everybody heard, but these two. We're goofing off in the back. We're chilling while the cameras are down. And they said, cameras up, ready, action. We're all marching down like, F the police, doing our scene. Well, these guys didn't hear to cue up to roll. So they're in the back with a car, smoke machine in a car, and they're the dancer guy, and Rocky's a musician. So they're filming this little mini Billie Jean video, right? They're wilding out, having fun. They're like, yo, this would be dope. Let's do it. So they're doing it while we're filming the scene, right? So after the scene cuts, the director comes back. He's like, yo, what are you guys doing, man? Like, blah, blah, blah. And so they totally finesse, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is what we were doing when we were really in Baltimore. So the director said, go ahead and do it. They totally finessed, and he's like, all right, cool. So they left it in, right? So when you guys see guys see We Own This City and you see the scene, there's two guys in the back filming. Rocky's got his camera out, and another guy's dancing, goofing off by a car on fire. Yes, we were really doing that when there was the riots, but that's the backstory, bro. And like, so when I watch this project, I've got all these different fun stories to share with the kids. Like, there's a riot scene on, and that's part of the fun, right? Is having these stories on production. Like there's a scene where there's a riot on North and Penn, and we're all cleaning up trash and this and that day after, right? And the whole time, because they bought crap. So they bought all this new stuff from DJs and threw it on the ground and still in packaging. So me and my man Rocky are walking around North Avenue looking for the unopened packs of beef jerky because that's expensive and we're hungry. So the whole time you see us walking around looking like we're acting. I mean, we're acting like we're picking stuff up. We're talking. It's day after cleanup. But I'm telling the kids when we watched the scene that me and Rocky was on a mission to find beef jerky. We weren't cleaning nothing up, And so it's the fun stories that you get to share, on the project that people don't, when they get to see behind the scenes, it enhances their experience of the show too. If they get to enjoy the show, and then you give them a little behind the scenes, and they're like, "Oh man, that's so cool, that's so funny," and they feel more connected to the project.
Oh yeah, you connect. I love the behind the scenes, man. So much be going on, man.
Yeah.
Really, he wanted. So I did say we were going to do a 30-minute show. I know, and if you all want to stay a few minutes longer, we can. It's up to you. But Mr. Armstrong, I wanted you to give a story about a funny story, tragic story, whatever story about just being on set at some point in your career. Just one story.
A funny story. Let me think on that. Let me think on that. Let me think of something really cool.
All right. So let me ask you this, man. You because I'm from Baltimore, but I don't know you like that. I'll be looking you up, man. I see you got some music on SoundCloud. What's going on there? You make music?
Oh man. You know what? I started making music. That was my first love was music. So
you're an artist.
Yeah, my first love was music, man.
Actually, we met. I'm gonna step in. I want you to continue though. We met. He had a program. And because we met in Washington D.C., we both from Mississippi. It was ridiculous. We both from Mississippi,
I dig
it. And we both met in D.C. Right? He was at a restaurant, and I was at Howard. And he had a program called The Artist Cabin, and Gahdiel is a DJ. So he set up these programs. He set up these programs.
It was an open mic.
Open mic. Go ahead. You can talk.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It was an open mic, and I had artists from all over D.C. to come to Tacoma Park over there in Tacoma Park, and come to my event and jam. Poets, I had singers, I had comedians, I had a couple comedians come through, and we just had a good time, man. We expressed ourselves. We had a good time. I laid a platform down for them, and
that's awesome.
It was cool, man.
Very cool.
It was really cool. And Robaer actually filmed. You filmed the.
I did. I forgot about it. So my and back in the day, I did television production. So that's my first love, first career out of Howard University. And so that's how our conversation began. I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted people to think, wow, this guy asking great questions about acting. I studied this stuff in my early 20s. So. Man. Go ahead.
I had a quick question for Sean. How do we watch Young and Reckless? Is that available?
It's not available.
Okay.
It's been in like I think like 6 or 7 film festivals, and I don't know how many more he's going to put it in.
Okay.
The director producer.
Mhm.
I don't know how many more film festivals before he actually put it on wherever he gonna put it, like a streaming platform. You know, so hopefully by this year it'll be on somewhere on this stream platform somewhere. Somebody pick it up or whatnot, and you'll be able to see it. And I think it's a powerful story.
Yeah, because I see on Internet Movie Database it's on there. I was just trying to see if it was on any content we can watch, man.
Yeah. Now hopefully in 2022 this year,
Okay.
you can be able to watch it. So
So-
keep an eye on it. Just keep on my page, my Facebook page, my IG, and I'll let you know. You know what I mean? I'll inform everybody where they can watch it. You know. Yeah.
What's your IG, man, or what's your information? Is it? Did you already put it on the show, Robaer?
I'm typing it in the chat right now.
Yeah.
You said go ahead.
Yeah, you can look at on my IG. It's Gahdiel at Gahdiel, the first name right here you see, and my Facebook is actually Gahdiel Sean Armstrong. You could follow me on there. Yeah.
Follow Gahdiel Sean Armstrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I put follow Gahdiel Sean Armstrong on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sean Armstrong on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna put follow at Gahdiel.
IG.
Instagram.
Yeah, IG.
Instagram.
Yeah, if you put in his first name, it shows up.
Your chap.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I had moved to Baltimore, man. I was out there for a month, man.
Where at?
I don't even know what street. I forgot what street, but I was there, man. And I was trying to actually move there from DC, actually.
Let's go, man. Do it. This is a good. Hey, look, I'm gonna break this down for you real quick before you go. So you're an actor. I'm just getting my toe wet, man. But I'm definitely feel like it's the only thing in 43 years. Like I'm a 43-year-old man who can tell you to your face, like I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But when I was on production, it all made sense. That's where I was supposed to be. It felt like that anyway. So I know that there's more to come. I know I'm gonna continue with that as work opens up. But I'm gonna share with you as an actor. So Amazon has moved into Baltimore for the past decade doing the distribution, right?
Okay.
Like we're a big East Coast port. All over the country comes out of Baltimore. Okay. So they've been buying up all the waterfront property, and now they've been buying up more property in Baltimore under Amazon Studios. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they locked in and branded Baltimore. So between Under Armour, because I'm a community activist too, man. So So used to be in Hopkins University, Maryland, ran the city, but now Under Armour runs west, Amazon runs the east, and all the property Under Armour doesn't want, Amazon is buying. And what they're doing is they've made a stronghold in Baltimore. They branded Baltimore, and now they're buying property to bring in they're buying property under Amazon Studios, okay, which means for the next 3 to 5 years, once they're done developing the properties they bought, they're going to start doing their shows out of Baltimore. So like The Boys, right? They already started a plot where, and they already led to it. Like there was a plot in season 1 where they talked to the mayor of Baltimore and Homelander kills him. So that's going to be a plot branch in the future once they get the studios set up. Just one example of one of the shows. They're going to start doing productions in Baltimore, and then once they're done with it, they're going to start renting out their studio space to Hulu and Netflix and all this other stuff, right? This is the plan. This is what's happening. I know the people that are doing it. And so I'm saying to you as an actor, move to Baltimore. The work is going to be here for the next decade. The new school, right? Because you're coming from the old school, but the new school, the streaming networks and the Hulu's, Netflix, Paramount, all these guys, Amazon Studios has weighed anchor in Baltimore. So there's going to be work here.
Hey, I'm willing to fly. I'm willing to drive.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You know, I'm in Atlanta, fly going on Atlanta, but guess what? I'm willing to go to drive and fly to Baltimore.
So let me ask you this, man. Are you union?
I'm not union. No,
okay. Because someone, so I've heard both sides of the stories. Either way is beneficial either way, which is great. But one thing I've heard is once you get south of Richmond, Virginia, there is no union presence. right? So, for instance, I made $200 a day, roughly, filming with HBO here in Baltimore. But I got casting calls to do I got a casting call to do Guardians of the Galaxy. They're filming in Atlanta, but they were only paying $88 a day.
That's
union,
right,
bro. And that's for the prosthetics, wearing prosthetics for 12 hours while you're filming, like all day. Prosthetics, the guys doing all the that kind of work. You're only getting $88 a day, and then there's no. And then where here, I was eating like fish tacos with like the Punisher from Netflix, right? There's like this nice catering, there's nice everything. Like the production team is treated well. But what I've heard is when you get south of Richmond, there's no union presence. So the conditions are very different. In Atlanta, Florida, and so on, it's very, very different, which is why Disney films there, because it's so cheap for them. Yeah. But at the same time, they're not treating their artists appropriately. So
that's a powerful testimony right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to come to Baltimore. Like, y'all got it going on up there.
Yeah, we're gonna have it going on. Trust me, man. Like, I'm watching it unfold and watching it unfold from like as a resident, watching Amazon kind of take over these properties and this and that and stuff going on. I'm concerned, but then now being on the other side where I can be a part of that boom and that business and have a job and put other people on with jobs, like I'm seeing it differently now. And so I'm not so much against against it, because I see the opportunities that can be created for my Baltimore family. So it's like, you know what? Okay. Instead of trying to fight it, let's roll with it. Let's put everybody on with it.
What about in New York? Do you find anything going on up there?
I have applied to a ton of casting stuff up there, but they're very tight on the union. Apparently, this is just like, again, all this is my perspective and experience as being new to the scene.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an experienced man, so I catch on a little quicker and put things together a little faster. But what I've discovered is that, in my experience, is that New York is super tight, especially in the city, for union actors. So if you're a union actor, you're going to work. But if you're not, man, you better know somebody.
You better try to become union, right?
I don't think I would. I think I enjoy the freedom of, if you say you're doing a production, I want the freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to go hop on and do this production with you and not have to worry about no union bull stuff. It's funny because I see the value in it. And I'm part Sicilian, right? And the Sicilians of Baltimore were Teamsters. So my Uncle Frankie and them, they started the union in Baltimore, right? They're union guys all day, but I appreciate the value of not being attached to that. Okay. I mean, I see the value on both sides, but for me personally, I like to have the freedom to walk away from it, even though I don't get the extra benefits. I'm okay with that. I'll be okay, right?
Okay.
But I like to have the freedom to choose to do something that's not union, or support someone up and coming who can't afford to bring the union in to govern the production, I guess. You know what I mean? So I think that's the most value, is being able to. I think part of what I've heard is that with the union people, you can't do non-union productions.
Yeah,
that's right.
They just pay. They pay more. They pay more.
They do. They pay a lot more.
Yeah, they pay a lot more.
You can do what you want to do. In that sense, and it's just coming back from when I was learning about this field or this industry when I was young. You can do what you want to do. No one can tell you not to do it, because you have your own free will, you have your own rights.
Right.
But there can be repercussions behind you making those choices. But you can do what you want to do. It's your world. But if people find out, and who won't find out? I mean, your name is gonna show up on the screen. Your face is gonna show up on the screen.
I feel like if I was in it for the money, union all day, and I'm gonna just soak up all those benefits. But if I'm in it because I love, you know what I mean? Because I love film, because I love the art, I love the people doing it. I love, if I'm doing it for the love, I give or take the union, right? And like, I'm the next Bruce Willis. Y'all just don't know. Like, I'm coming for it.
Yeah.
And
we're out at the 45-second mark. 30
go
seconds.
ahead.
I'm gonna give you 15 seconds. Hey, 15 seconds. Give us some motivation. 15 seconds each one.
Motivation is this. Don't overthink it. If you want to do something, step out and do it. You'll be all right.
Okay. Gahdiel, give us some motivation. 15 seconds.
Motivation is study your craft, study the skills, be on time, do all the strong basic stuff to keep you going forward and make you stand out. That's
Okay.
motivation.
Well, I tell you what, man, I've had a blast. I'm sitting down in this chair, and I'm talking to two people that I really enjoy being around. One of them I just met a few months ago. The other one I've been knowing for over a decade. And just for us to have this conversation right here, and shout out to BlackUSA.news.
Shout out.
BlackUSA.news. I don't know where it's going, but I know it's on a rocket ship. So when it lands, please be around the rocket ship, because when the hosts on this network decide to get off and we decide to stand around that rocket ship, we're going to bring a lot of attention to the issues, to the news that's going on, to the politics that's going on, to the entertainment as we're talking about right now. So I'm grateful. We didn't have any hiccups today on the show. Thank you to whoever the internet service provider is. So we're gonna take off. And Mr. Armstrong, thank you so much for extending a little bit more of your time.
Thank you.
I know you have something to take care of.
Chop, I appreciate it. Nice meeting you, and
You as
we're
well.
gonna stay in touch.
Yeah, man. I look forward to connecting with you, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna hit you up on the message.
Yes, sir.
So Facebook family, Facebook viewers, YouTube viewers, catch us on the broadcast later on. Thank you. Catch at Gahdiel on Instagram or Gahdiel Sean Armstrong on Facebook. Take care. This is the Robaer Report.